So I'm here to talk about making the most of your time here at San Jose State and adjusting to life here as quickly as possible. You have picked, as I mentioned, one of the best places to come to for your education. It's certainly, you can see right out the window here how beautiful it is. It's even not too warm right now. Um, Primo for weather. It's a great city to live in. Most of you will feel very at home here because we have a very diverse population here, and they've all made little pockets of places where you can really get the comforts of home. It's easy for you to access the rest of the world. There's an airport right here, an international airport that's just a 5-minute to 10-minute taxi ride over. And of course, this is one of the most exciting places for innovation. And because of that, there are a lot of opportunities for all of you as well, both to learn about what's here and bring them back to your countries, and also to be part of all the excitement here in Silicon Valley. And San Jose State educates the largest percentage of employees and people who work in the Valley than any other school here. But the probably more interesting thing here is there's opportunity for excellent ROI. I know you're not all business students. How many are business students here? Small percentage. Great, hello. You guys know what ROI is? You have to. Return on investment. So actually there have been studies made. It's been published in Forbes magazine, and they looked at the salaries of students who graduated from San Jose State 20 years out, right? And they compare that to their investment. So that's the tuition and fees and everything they put into their education. And 20 years out, if you compare, San Jose State looks very good when compared to the top schools in the area. So that means that people are at salary levels that are actually comparable to many of the grads if you take into account the level of investment upfront in tuition and fees and all of that. So great choice. I feel a lot of affinity with all of you. I actually started in this country, it's probably now 23 years ago, to be exact. But I first came here in 22 years ago from the Philippines, and I was an F1 student. How many of you are F1 or J1 students? Great. So just like you, I came here and started off at UCLA, and I finished my PhD over there and came to UC Berkeley in '96, and then joined the faculty here in '99. So I feel a lot of affinity for the journey that you're all going to be starting here, and really recognize the return that you can have in a very valuable investment that you're making in your careers and in your knowledge and your lives here. So it's worked out really well for me, and I can see how much promise there is in this room as well, and wish you all the best with your own journeys here in this country. Okay, so things to note about U.S. education programs. It's quite different from other places in the world. It's relatively flexible, and it's not a system where you just go to classes, take your classes, and then you have a final, and that's how you're assessed. It's actually, most faculty will have you be doing things throughout the whole semester, so you have to pay attention to what activities and what requirements there are throughout the semester and make sure you're keeping up. So it's not the kind of thing where you can just, sit through your classes and then study hard in the end of the semester. The other thing I noticed when I moved here was I found that the system here is more structured than it is in Asia, where I came from. So for the most part, faculty are pretty open about the things that they will expect from you. So you can it's a good idea to pay attention to what they write in their green sheets and all the requirements, and talk to the faculty member for clarification, and they will clarify things for you. But the main thing is that you need to follow that structure and make sure you keep up, because your grades will depend on things that you do from day one in the class. So program and course requirements, where do you find out about them? In the catalog in our website. I have the link up here, but you can just remember info.sjsu.edu So, and then the catalog's there. It's worthwhile to look in there for different policies that you will be applying to you and for the requirements in your program. So it's good to look to see if you have the option of a thesis or a project in your program, right? And what classes you'll need to take. If there's an internship, you probably know that piece, but there are things you could look in there for that you may not have thought of in the past. So also, there is an academic advisor in every department and a graduate student advisor and your international advisor. So you can talk to them for clarification in many of these policies. There are also individual course requirements, as I talked about, and it's in San Jose State. The place where all of that is placed is the green sheet. That's like you can think of it, actually both of this, you can think as a contract with the faculty and the university. So things expected of you and all your options, they're all laid out in these documents. So it's worthwhile to actually look at them and see what you need to do and what your options are in the various programs and in your classes. One thing that all green sheets will have, or most green sheets will have, is the grading formula. So your faculty member will tell you what you need to do in the class and what percentage of the grade each of those items is. So you can see this is an example here. You'll have midterms. Sometimes you'll have participation in your team as well in there. But look at the grading system, because that gives you a good idea of what your professor will emphasize. We do give letter grades here in San Jose State, and this is a sample equivalency for all the grades that for the total grade you might get in the class and what letter grade might be equivalent to it. Each professor will have a slightly different setup for this. But note that in San Jose State, we give plus and minus grades. So faculty do give A+ in some programs, but they also will give a D- and of course the F. There's also grades like incomplete, and if you get one of those, you need to make sure that you pay attention and complete your requirements that your professor told you to complete within the time periods, usually a year, or else that becomes an F. The other thing is, do not disappear from your classes, because it will show up in your record. If you just disappear without late dropping a class or telling the professor that you need to withdraw from the class, you will get a withdrawal you will get a not a very nice withdrawal there's a nice withdrawal and a not very nice withdrawal. So you'll get the ugly withdrawal if you just stop showing up in your classes. So don't do that. Make sure you keep your professor posted on how you're doing, and if you need some time to, say, deal with an emergency or deal with any issue, it's much better for you to come and talk to your professor. As our panel mentioned, we have a great counseling center here. Go and talk to them. They can help you sort it out, but you need to make sure that you tell your professor so they don't just end up giving you an F or a W in your record. That's a lot harder to deal with. The university does work with you and has a lot of ways in which they can help you if you are, needing a little bit of time to finish your semester or to deal with a personal issue. Okay, so the biggest thing is to not tell your professor or not get help from these different organizations on campus, because we are here to help you all be successful.